Hi all, welcome back to Carrier Battle Philippine Sea. Scenario 6, this is my part 2. Right, I haven't done what I said I was going to do and upload part 1 to see if any mistakes might be shown. I've got plenty of time to play at the moment, I suppose, and that's the thing. And I do like to review the video, but part of me thinks I should chuck it out there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start recording this and then I'm going to take a break for a bit shortly anyway and see if I can watch through part 1. And because I like to catch mistakes by myself if I can. But with a game like this, I don't know, it might be better just to chuck it out there and let people see. I'll see how we get on, and then I'll probably just release the part and let anybody that wants to watch it make their comments on how dreadful I've started. Well, I did I didn't even take on board how the example of play went out, because I was trying to draw chits before I actually put out the forces and things. Anyway, we caught that in time, hopefully. I wouldn't have got very far because the forces weren't out there. So move away raids is the first step. I might not flip up to the game turn flow chart all the time. Might just maybe when it's relevant rather than shift things about a bit. So then roll for mission movement. Is that right? Yeah, because we're not adding more forces yet. That's only once per turn. So roll for mission movement. Right, I'm just going to do that off camera. I've rolled a 10. Was it not a 10 we had the last time? It was. So it was a 10 again. So roll for mission movement and then draw sequence chits. The first one we've got to do, remember, is if we do draw a force, check for air raid procedure. So let's draw the first chit. Now again, we're hoping to avoid the Guam chit here, but you can see that the odds of avoiding it are pretty slim to avoid it until phase 4. Right, we start with a no op. There's 3 of them in the cup. So we'll carry on drawing the next chit. And we get force C. Right, so where is that? Force C, oh, that's quite close actually. Not close enough though, we need to be 5 hexes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see it's not near enough to conduct, to possibly resolve an air raid. And then he's going to move in the 10 direction. He's in this, using that compass there, isn't he? Yeah, so southeast. So he's going to come down there. Ooh, he's moving towards one of our subs. That's good. Yeah, and I think force D as well got moved a little bit towards our sub. Okay. Well, that's that. That's force C dealt with, isn't it? We can't do any more. Draw the third chit. Right, it's not Guam, it's sub. So we've avoided the Guam chit again this turn, but like I say, it needs to really work, last until phase 4. Right, subs. Well, I should look up, this is probably a bit I've not read up on. I want to say that we can move any of our subs 1 hex. Obviously, if they were on top of a force, something else might happen, but no, I've just seen the rule. It's further on in the... Is it 14 maybe? Yeah, 14 submarines. Right, okay, let me have a glance at what happens here. Oh, well, I might as well just glance through it. So 14 Israel as submarines, 14.1 US submarines, which is what we're interested in now. US submarines are used in scenarios 6 through 9. There are 5 US submarines identified by name. In scenarios 6 and later, they are set up as part of the US forces on the map at the start. Each may be placed anywhere on the map, including island hexes. Well, there is that restriction about not being adjacent to one of the zones, so it doesn't say that there. But I definitely read that somewhere. Right, it's probably in the setup, but probably in the scenario setup. There is 1 US subs activation chit, which we've just drawn. When the US player draws this chit, he may do the following with each of his submarines. So we can do this with every one, if we so desire. If the submarine is not pinned and not shadowing, move the submarine 1 hex if desired. So I don't need to move it. They're not pinned. I'm not sure how they get pinned, but I'm sure we'll come to that. And they're not shadowing. I want to say the shadowing is that they are on top of on top, underneath a force, a Japanese force maybe. So, and then following any movement, the submarine may attempt to contact a Japanese force in its hex. Yeah, maybe if they're shadowing, they actually follow when the force moves, maybe. If the submarine is shadowing C14.151. I think I was away looking for shadowing, but I think it tells you here. Just if I'd read on again, I've got a bad habit of that. I start reading something, then I go and looking for something, and then if I just read on, I would find what I'm looking for. So if the submarine is not panned, not shadowing, move the submarine 1 hex if desired. Following any movement, the submarine may attempt to contact a Japanese force in its hex, 14.13. If the contact succeeds, the submarine can either shadow or attack the force. Right, okay. If the submarine is panned, remove any pan 1 marker and replace any pan 2 marker with a pan 1 marker. In either case, the pinned submarine takes no other action in that phase. Its activation consists solely of having its pin marker reduced or removed. Okay, and then if the submarine is shadowing, C14.151. To resolve a contact, simply roll 1 die and consult the submarine contact table, card 4 front. The result is either a success or a failure. Right, okay, I'm not reading more into that, I don't think, just now, because you can see that we need to be in the hex. Following any movement, the submarine may attempt to contact a Japanese force in its hex. So, yeah, okay. Right, so is there any sort of need to be moving these? Well, I don't know, looking at albacore there, maybe moving it in here. Well, what's force C? Where can force C go if it moved again? I mean, obviously it's moved already this turn, but I'm just thinking next turn, obviously. So it can either go northeast, east, or southeast. That's its 3 movement options. So if I was to put the sub there, then, because if I leave it there and it moves to that hex, obviously I'm 2 hexes away. But if I put my sub there, then wherever it moves, next to gain time, or if I get, obviously the other option is we draw the sub chip first, we can move in. So that makes sense actually, doesn't it? Yeah, let's move that one there then. So looking down, this one's close to this, and that's either going to go northwest, northeast, or east. Unlikely to be going northwest, but more likely to go northeast. So I wonder if I should move that down to there. Or is this kind of daft? I don't know. Oh, I'm looking at that. That's not a force grant. The force is down here. Yeah, to be honest, it looks like it's going that way. So maybe I should... Yeah, it's more... The odds are it's going to move northeast. I think I might just move that down into there then. Because we don't know what else is going to pop up here next turn as well. Yeah, okay, I'll move that one there then. And what we got bang up here. So we've got force B and force F. Force B's going to go southeast or east. The force F is going to go southeast no matter what. Well, it's maybe not a bad idea to move that to there, because if a new force appears there, we can move into that hex, can't we? Yeah, let's go with that. And then, ooh, it looks like that would be a good move as well. Fin back here. Now, force D. What is Again, he's either going to go there, or there, so that makes sense, me moving into there. Yeah, I like that as well. So that's our submarines moved. Yeah, I think that worked pretty well, actually. Well, that's what I think. Right, that's the third chit, actually. So we've avoided the Guam chit again, so that's good. So moving on, and there was no air raid. In fact, I think we only drew one force there, didn't we? No air raids. We just moved one hex and nothing else to do in any other sections there. Any other segment, the phases. So now we're down to move air missions for the US air movement segment. So this is where we could bring our cat mission out. I think. And this is where we move that intercept mission. Well, we're definitely wanting to move the intercept mission. And I think this is one of the times where a cat mission, during the US air movement segment, a cat mission may be placed on the map and it's task group 6. Don't feel that we need to do that. I can move that dice again. So I don't feel like we need to do that. So we're just going to leave the cat mission where he is. Just flying around the task force, task group, whatever. And we're going to move intercept 1. Well, like I said, I think it's better just moving at 1 hex. Because if I move at 2 and the Guam chit comes up next turn, that's it. Whereas if I move at 1, we avoid the Guam chit, then I can move 2 the next turn. So I will move 1 into there. And that'll just cost 1 fuel. I'll just stretch up there and knock that down to 14. And the cap doesn't use any fuel because it's not there yet. So that was our air movement and adjust fuel. Now the search segment, and this is a bit I got wrong when I was doing the training one. I thought I was still able to move these, but no, that whole search segment is only once per turn. So we jumped by that, and then now we're down to air operations, all carriers, and the first one is launch. Well, I'm not so sure I do want to launch in. I mean, you could launch another cat mission, I suppose, but that's got to be only 3 fighters, so no, I don't think I will. I think I've still got time. If the Guam comes up, I've still got time to do it next turn. Well, actually, I've not got... These are up there on the flight deck. These are as well, but the rest of the stuff's standing back. I think we're going to more use the rest of the stuff. So next step would be raise servicing to ready. I think I'm going to do this. So again, you're governed by or restricted by the... what was that one? 6.25. Raising. Planes move from servicing to ready are said to be raised. Any units in servicing can be raised subject to the flight deck limits, which are in force all times. So we can only have 2. Actually, no, you can you not have 3 on the flight deck? Or am I just making that up? Where are we? Yeah, it says flight deck limits 3, but we can only launch 2, so it's kind of pointless having 3 up there, I think. Yeah, and you're better just having the 2 up there and then launching them, aren't you? So will we move these up? I think so. I think I'm going to do it. So these are both fighters, so I'm going to move these 2 up. I'm going to move these 2 up, and yeah, I might as well. Moving all that up. Now, over here, I can move that 1 up to join him. I'll leave that guy back there. I mean, I could move it up there because it did say that there was 3. But again, not sure I can see the point in that one. And I think I'll do the same with that. And then we'll just move one of the S6Fs up. That's obviously that can only have 1. Yeah, they can only have 1 flight deck limit as well. Whereas they can have 3, but only launch 2. So I'm not sure. There's probably a time when it is useful to have 3 in these, but I'll maybe come around to that. Right, so this one, I will put both of them up. I'll put that, because you never know. And then these two are coming up. That's coming up. That's full. And then along here, that's full, that's full, that's full. So I can't actually move any of them up. Okay, moving on. Hanger 2 from servicing. So, yeah. Right, that's fine though. So I'm going to put, I'm going to put these two up, I think. I'm going to just move the stuff up, really. I'll put 2 of them up there. That's the thing, I'm maybe putting all my fighters up. And I should be maybe keeping some of them back. Well, these two are here, so that works. So that goes up, that goes up. Over here, so there is space for 2. There is space for 2 on the in the servicing, isn't there? Yeah, 2. Servicing 2. So it's 2.6. Please can be moved from the hanger into servicing or in the opposite direction. Each unit so moved in either direction counts 1 against the servicing limit. Alright, hold on then. Am I breaking some rules there? Example, a CV has 2 TBFs in servicing. It moves 1 TBF back to the hanger and moves 1 F6F from the hanger to servicing. This uses up the 2 servicing limit. So if I moved, I'm not sure if I did then, if I moved 2 from servicing up that way, does that mean I can't move any into servicing? Or does it just mean in servicing back and forward to the hanger? I think that's what it means. Each unit so moved in either direction counts 1 against the servicing limit. Oh, maybe not. Planes can be moved from hanger into servicing or in the opposite direction from servicing to hanger. Each unit so moved in either direction counts 1 against the servicing limit. Ah, yeah. It's just between hanger and servicing, Grant. Yeah. So moves between servicing and the flight do not affect this. That's twice I've done that. Class my tweezers against the lamp there. Yeah, so it only affects moving between these two. It doesn't affect what's already moved out of there. I don't think. Okay. So, well, where was I then? What am I trying to do? Move from hanger to servicing. These are the hanger. Right, I've obviously done these. Yeah, so I'm over here. So I could move... so I could move that up there. Let's do that. And there's a space in there. Let's do that. There's not a space there, not a space there. That's fine. And then down here, hanger to servicing. So I can move 2 up into there, 2 up in there, and 1 into there. So I'm going to do it. Actually, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, so. Yeah, I'm seeing that. Well, the thing is, when I was a mission, I can pick from any of these to be joined. So as long as I've got some S6Fs somewhere ready to take off. So that's 2 of them, and we'll take 2 of them. I don't believe there's any difference between the TBMs, the TBFs, or the SPDs. And the only difference is SB2C has got a strength of 4. These have all got 5s. I've not came across anything that says that there's any difference between them anyway. So he's up there, we've already moved him. And that's all full, can't move that up. And then the last one, well not the last one, lower flight deck to hangar. So if we had anybody that had landed, we could put them down in the hangar, or up in the hangar. Well, it is down in the hangar, but you move it up to the hangar. And then we would land now. There's nothing on the task force hex at once. Well, there's nothing there. There's nothing we wanted to land anyway. So moving on. US interception. I'm just checking I'm still recording there. I like to have a glance at that every once in a while because I've blundered before many a time when I'm talking, thinking I'm recording away. Air-to-air combat. Right, there's none of that. We're not in a hex with anybody else, so we can skip by that. Japanese air attack segment. There's not any Japanese raids out there. US air attack segment. This is if we had an airstrike out there and we were on top of a target. There's none of that. So we're actually just going to skip by this pretty quickly, aren't we? Clear and operative flight decks, clear deck crashes, advanced phase marker. So that's us again. That's skip by that one pretty quick, didn't it? Right, so we're on to phase 3. And this moves back to the beginning. Move all air raids. There's no air raids. Roll for mission movement. So here we go again. Right, I will roll the dice. A 10 again. Jesus. Right, 3 times it's been a 10. Okay. So, and then we're going to draw sequence chits. Now, this is, if we can avoid the glam chit here, I mean, there's only 6 chits left, and we've got to draw 3 of them. So, here we go. First one. Oh, it's not anyway, it's Force F. Okay, where is Force F? That's up there. So he's not within, again, we're still only at maximum range of 5, so he's not within 5. So he's just going to move, and you can see a 1 to 10, like I'll work that one out, that he's going to move that way. He's not got any other option. So he moves down there, so that's kind of good, because if we got the sub again, move him into there, we know he's going to move into there next time. Okay, that was the first of the 3 chats. So here we go, the second one. Alright, still not glam. We've got one more to get. So Force A is down the bottom here. So again, he's not within 5. He's wanting to move on the 10. He's actually moving east. So he's actually moving like that. That's not good. We don't really want him coming up the back there, but, well, that's how it goes. Right, that's the second of 3. Right, one more. Come on, no glam. Yes, good. 4C. So we've got a good start. 4C's along here, side the dice, which I can take away now. It's a 10. And this compass is wanting to go southeast. So he's going to move there. And he was clearly more than 5 hexes away as well. And that's it. Okay, so we checked for air raids. We moved our forces 1 hex. Nothing else to do there. Move air missions. Yeah, move air missions. Again, we're not needing to move our cap mission. And this time, we're now going to get over glam. So we're going to move 1, 2 this time. And so the fuel expenditure here is from 0 to 1 hexes, because remember, if you don't move at all, you still got to spend a fuel point. It costs 1 fuel. If you move 2, which you are allowed to do unless it's your first, when you're first launched, then it costs 2 fuel points if I roll a 1 to 5, and it costs 3 fuel points if I roll a 6 to 10. So I'll show this roll for the fuel. Right. it's kind of cocked that dice, so I'm going to roll it again. It was a 3. Oh well, we'll get away with it. It's a 2. Right, so it did only cost us 2 fuel. We've moved our 2 hexes. We're right over Guam, and we've spent 1, 2, and now we're still got 12 fuel. That's really good. So, and now we know that the Guam chip's going to arrive, and when it arrives there and we're on that hex, there's minus modifiers. And not only that, if it still launches the raid, he can't move out of that hex. He's got to engage with us, I think. He's not allowed to move out when he first launches. And that's if he gets to actually launch the raid. So, and then the thing is, we can sit there for quite a bit of time, just spending 1 fuel each turn, and stopping that from, well, actually, then the Guam, yeah, no, I think that's right. Okay, so nothing else to move. No, we're not wanting to launch the cap one. So down we go again. We can't do the search. Air operations, right, you can quickly cycle through it if nothing else is happening, but when things do start happening, it's going to grind to an almost halt, I think, while I'm looking up the rule book, trying to find out what I'm going to do, what I'm allowed to do. Right, so this time, are we going to launch anything? Well, I don't think so. I think we just sit. There's not any threats coming in. So I'm not going to launch. We've got everything full on already, yeah. And then servicing to ready. Well, no, because they're all full, so I can't do any of that anyway. Right, correct. And then hangar to or from servicing. So hangar to servicing. I don't think I'll be able to do any of this. Well, because I've done it all. These are allowed 2, and the other ones are allowed 1. Yeah, I can't do anything. Can't do anything. And I've nothing to land. Air combat, none of that. Yeah, and the fact that actually, hang on, maybe I should check the fact that I'm over Guam. Does anything happen there? I don't think so. Well, let me cycle through and just have a quick look at the contact. So US air attack segment, there's going to be none of that. Cleared deck. Yeah, no, we're just down to advancing phase marker again. So we're advancing to phase 4 and moving back to move all the Japanese air movement segment, move all air raids. Let me just double check about just being over Guam, just in case. Right, so I was really trying to find out. I thought the best way to do that was to search on the PDF version on the rules. I've got a new computer set up though, so I had to go and download that and the rule book and whatever. And there's like quite a few occurrences of the word Guam, 89 I think it was. So quite a few. But yeah, no, there's nothing to stop us from moving over that. In fact, it says that historically that's what was done. You can also fly airstrikes. They are to like drop your bombs and whatever, and that is one case when you don't need. You can move 2 hexes away from the task force. I'm not so sure why I would want to do that, but maybe there is reasons for that. Anyway, it's quite fine. I couldn't see anything that stopped us from just hovering about over there. So moving into phase 4. What time am I at? Yeah, because I do need to take a break. Well, let's get through. You might as well get through this last phase, Grant. Yeah, because this is phase 4. So yeah, things are able to speed up a bit, and like I say, I'm sure it'll slow down once other things start happening. So there's no air raids to move. We're going to roll for mission movement again. Surely not a 10 again, but a 2. Okay, starting to think that the dice might be loaded. Right, so we've got a 2. I actually changed the dice. I didn't like the dice that was in it. I don't know. It didn't roll in my wee box very well. It just kind of seemed to stop dead all the time. I never like when that happens. I probably should get one of the AB dice tower things, but maybe one day. Okay, so we've rolled, and then we're going to draw a chat. So we know we've got the Guam chat. Well, we've actually not had the US move chat either, so that's going to come. And then, well, there must be another one as well. maybe one of the forces haven't moved yet. So, one at a time anyway, Grant. Here we go. So we draw... Right, the US moved, chat. Well, I noticed there's a bit on the... up there about it. So US movement 6.3. Oh, there's a sub one as well. So move or unpin. And then combat/attack if you were to go there, I suppose. Doesn't talk about the contact bit though, but anyway. So US movement, let's just see 6.3 that is, so I'm not far away from that in the book actually. US movement, note the rule section is placed here for continuity and for easier reference during play, but it is not needed until scenario 5. You can skip it until then. Yeah, I think the way the rulebook's written is to try and learn you the game, but there's obviously some sections that come in that they've had to leave in that section, but they're not relevant until later on. US ships are organised into 5 task groups, 4 carriers, and 1 surface. US ships are organised into 5 task groups. Yeah, 4 are carrier task groups, and 1 is a surface task group. That's the battle line, 58.7, isn't it? And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 carrier task groups. What did I skip by there? Yeah, that's right, yeah. Which together make up Task Force 58. In all scenario setups, the US begins with the Task Force 58 counter, which represents all the task groups in its hex. Movement of all US task forces/task groups occurs when the US move chit is drawn. This is the only point in the turn at which they can be moved. The US player may detach individual task groups from Task Force 58 at the same time as movement. He places a detached task group counter on the map, and we do have them. Here's, for instance, task group 58.4. So what it's saying is, if I want to separate, I might want to say, let's move task group 58.4 away from task force 58, and let's move it that way, 1x. You might want to do that with either of the task groups. A task group may rejoin task force 58 anytime the two end their moves in the same hex. A task force or task group may move 1 hex each time it moves. A task force or task group containing carriers cannot enter island hexes, light blue. I don't know where they are. What's that? That must be well, Guam must be an island hex. I wouldn't say it's light blue. So something else I'm missing? Maybe it means light green? It looks kind of green to me. Yeah, so we've got that. We've got Guam, Tinian, Saipan, and then Yap is away over here. Not shown yet. I don't see any light blue, so I think it must mean them. Yeah, it must do. A US task force or task group can enter a hex occupied by a Japanese force only when using rule 21.0. So, well, we're not using. I've not added any optional rules. I mean, I did go for the non-historical, option of additional. I might still change that. Well, I suppose as soon as I start drawing carriers, I need to decide for sure, don't I? I can leave it as it is. I'm sure it's fine. Unless somebody might come along and tell me, no, I really wouldn't do that because it's going to make it easier for you or harder for you. Or I'm guessing it's going to be harder. There's going to be more of them, but I don't know. And then finally, when a task force or task group moves, any air raids, airstrikes, or intercept missions on the map remain behind in the hex. They do not accompany it. Cap missions do, as they are on the task force display and not the map. Yeah, okay, so yeah, if we had some intercept missions just on top of that, and then we decide to move Task Force 58, they would stay there. The cap mission that we've got would go with it, though. Okay, so we can move it 1 hex anyway. I don't really see the need just now, but you might want to aid an air mission coming back by just moving it one hex closer to them, so that it gives them one less fuel to get back to safety, I suppose. It's probably more important to keep this safe away from things, so it's probably maybe more a consideration to move away from an incoming Japanese raid, maybe. But anyway, we shall leave it. We won't move it, and that is an optional thing, so that'll be that. Right, last two chits. We get, it's a no-op. Alright, so a no-op, and the very last chit, well, let's hope it's Guam. Or I'm going to have to start all over again because I've made a mess. Here we go. It is indeed. Okay, so we managed to get lucky there and draw it as the very last chit. Well, as long as we're drawing it in phase 4, that's what I wanted. But you can see the odds of it are stacked against you, but we got lucky, right? I don't need the dice for that then, because there's nothing to move. Okay, so what happens when we draw the Guam chit then? Okay, I think this is where we need to be looking. Japanese land-based air. Japanese land-based aircraft operating from Guam were a concern for the Americans. Admiral Ozawa was led to believe that he would get powerful support from these forces. They were weaker than he expected and they accomplished nothing. Rule 16.1 may be added to let the land-based air turn out to be stronger than it was historically. And that's why they are, they've only got a strength of 3 rather than a naval air of 4. And yeah, there's some bad modifiers for them as well. So they obviously weren't as good. I'm not using rule 16.1, whatever that is. Must be something optional. So, well, it's letting them be stronger. So land-based air and units. Japanese land-based air units are represented by unit counters. Like naval air, these are represented in the form of generic unit counters, which can be exchanged for one another in any denominations. Japanese have an air base at Guam. It can launch air raids against American forces. It is, in effect, a large stationary aircraft carrier. Japanese air bases at Yap, Peleliu and Iwo Jima do not launch raids, but can be a source of land-air reinforcements. Again, if we're playing with that optional rule, which we are not. Design note. Procedures for Japanese land bases and their aircraft are much simpler than those for carrier aircraft because there is less uncertainty. You know exactly where each base is and how large it is. However, the exact number of aircraft remains a mystery to you. The Japanese were good at hiding their aircraft from you using revetments and the like. Yeah, I just read through these rules quite recently, so I think this is where I was up to rule 11 maybe. Unless I did get into 12, possibly. Other things moving about there. So, Guam is an air value assigned by scenario. Now we know it's 7. Again, there's an optional rule to make it variable, roll of dice. Place the Guam air value marker on the records track at the start of the game to record the value. And then the air value of Guam can change only if Rule 16 is in play. We're not using that. It says the use of Rule 16 is recommended as soon as you don't mind adding on a little more complexity. It adds many possibilities. No, I'm not ready to add any more complexity. So I'm going to find this tough enough, I think. Up to now, it's been okay. At least I think so. But we've not done very much. Nothing much has happened. Guam has its own activation chit, which is what we're dealing with now. Note there are also activation chits for Iwo Jima and Yap, Peleliu, but they're only used with Rule 16, which we're not using. When the Guam activation chit is drawn, and if no Guam air raid is currently in play, carry out the air raid procedure in the same manner as for a level 4 Japanese force. Note that the activation chit, as for forces, determines when you launch raids, not when you move aircraft. Guam's aircraft are moved at the same time as naval aircraft. Guam cannot launch a new air raid if a Guam air raid is currently in play. In this event, you treat the Guam activation chit as no op. So when it's drawn, right, we carry out the air raid procedure in the same manner as for a level 4 Japanese force. Okay. Is there more information here then? Yeah, Well, there is. There's quite a lot more. So, the decision to launch a raid from Guam is made using the Japanese air raid generation table, card 2 back, same as for naval air raids. The strength of a Guam raid is determined using the level 3 to 4 forces and Guam chart, card 3 back, use a column from Guam's current net air value. So original air value minus any points lost or unavailable. The air strength reduction chart is not used for Guam. Guam's air value is less than 3. It does not launch a raid. Right, okay, so what? Card 3 back. Okay, so it does say that we follow the Japanese air raid procedure, and it's got a strength of 4. I don't know where that becomes relevant, but... so what we need to check, it's the same as whenever we activate a force right now. We check to see that if it's within range to consider carrying out an air raid. So it's the same for Guam. Well, checking that, we know it's a 530 turn. We know they need to be within 5 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is within range. So we check to see if it will consider a raid with the air raid generation table, I believe. So that's this one up the top, which we've looked at before. And like we say, it's a 530 turn. The maximum range is going to be 5. And the actual range is 4. So although there's a -3 modifier to the roll there, and we need to get 4 or less is no attack, 5 or more. It needs to be 5 or more for this to be resolved. It's a 530 turn, so it's -3. Is within range 4, so it's +2. So we're setting at -1 to the roll. However, we've also got, that's for the range game turn modifier. Sorry, the range / game turn modifier. Yeah. So that's the game turn modifier, -3. And that's the range modifier, +2. Set at -1. However, it says -2, air raid from Guam, US fighters in Hex. And it references 11.27, which I'm going to have a glance at. But there's going to be a -2. So it was -3 +2, setting at -1, and he's getting another -2. So it's -3 to the die roll. And remember, he needs a 5 or more. But let's just look at 11.27, which was just further on from where we were. If the US player is an intercept mission in the Guam Hex, then there are the following effects. Right. A die roll modifier is applied to the air raid generation die roll when the Guam activation chart is drawn. Modifier is listed on the air raid generation table, card 2 back, which we're on, and it's a -2. If a raid is launched from Guam, the raid is placed in the Guam Hex and does not move in that action phase. Other segments in the action phase are carried out normally. The US player adds 2 to his air-air combat die roll against the Guam units in that phase. This applies only when units are taking off from Guam, not when they are landing. So it's only when we're in the Hex when they actually begin the raid. The above effects are only for an intercept mission. An airstrike mission does not have these effects. Note that a US intercept mission can loiter in the Guam Hex, as was done during the actual battle, paying 1 fuel point per action phase. That's what I was checking up recently, and it told there it's right there. So we can just loiter in that Hex. Okay, so, well, first of all, we need to check if it's going to, because the modifier is going to suggest it's going to be harder for him to actually launch the raid. And then if it happens, well, we'll see what happens. Let's just see if it actually happens first. So like I said, it was a -3 in total, wasn't it? -3 +2 is -1, and then another -2 for the air raid from Guam. Right, so I'll just put that there, and we'll roll. Right, I've rolled a 3. That's not going to happen then, is it? 3 - 3 is 0, and they needed a 5 or greater for it to actually happen. So that's good, I think. We just want to keep that at bay. Yeah. Because we would have had to battle against it. Okay, we've got a decent enough force there. Well, I think we have. We've got 6 F6 Fs. But that's fine. So we don't need to know, because I wasn't sure what happened. It says that they do not move in that action phase. Is there not a bit there in Guam? Guam, resolve air raid procedure, land air reinforcement, air turnaround. No. I think normally when it launches, well, yeah, when it launches, it checks to see where it goes, doesn't it? Or does it? Or is it different? 10.1. Because when a normal air raid launches from a force, it appears at a range from our task force, doesn't it? So I'm assuming the same would have happened from Guam. But it does state there that if we have an intercept mission in that hex, it will not move, and it will sit there, and we'll have to battle it out. I believe. Right. Well, that's it. That was the last. So it didn't happen. No air raid, and we'll just keep that intercept mission there just for now. And moving on. So that was the last sequence chit, wasn't it? That was the last chit drawn. There's no air raids to do. There's no active forces to move, so not doing any of that. Move air missions. Right, well, we do need to deal with this. And when I say deal with it, we've only got one air mission. It is there, and we're just going to leave it there. And it's going to spend 1 fuel down to 11, so it can sit there for a little bit longer. It can certainly sit there for next turn, I think, and either stop the Guam raid kicking off or deal with it better. And then I just fuel, that's already, I've done that. We skip the search segment again. So air operations again into launch, and I don't think we're going to do anything again. I think we're just going to leave it all as it is. Yeah. We need to get our searches moving, whether we're going to actually move to a place where we can actually search. Oh, I seen, while I was looking, I don't think it's worked, but it might. I'm going to let it dry. Now this is half of a, what is it? Laminate pocket thing. So I just ripped it in half. And somebody's put up on BGG the search patterns. So that's ideally kind of what you want. You lay it down. Well, I don't know. This isn't exactly see-through, so it's need to get right down close. So there's maybe something better. But when I touched it, it looked like the ink was going to smudge. So I think the same might happen with that. I thought I'll let it dry and see, but I don't think that's quite going to happen. I'll maybe need to get a pen or something that's going to dry. But I think you're definitely going to need something like that. Quite surprised that they didn't have something like that for the game. But anyway. So what was I on about there? Yeah, that was just thinking about searches. Yeah, I'm thinking we need to try and find some stuff. But then the closer the forces get towards us as well. And remember, when we move on the next turn, there's a big jump. There's a big jump in the... there's a big jump in that. It moves up to 8 hexes once we move on to the 650 turn. So whenever we activate these forces next time, and remember we're going to add another 4 forces as well, then they're going to check on an 8 hex range to start launching their raid. So that's when it's going to start kicking off, I think. Okay, so I don't think we're going to do anything, and we can't move anything up. We've done all that. We've got everything as we want it. So moving right through that, we don't need to land anybody. There's no air-to-air combat, there's no Japanese air attack segment, no US air attack segment. Clearing operative decks. Right, so advance the phase marker. However, that's us at 4. So we go back to 1, and then I think we go down here. And this would be update hit markers, hit previous turn to permanent hit current turn to previous hit. And then fire. We did look a little bit at that in the example of play. Japanese submarine attack would have happened if I think that only happens if we are, because we did look at that as well, I think. 14.2. There are no Japanese submarine units in the game, but if the US player chooses to eliminate a hex, he may suffer a submarine attack. He may also suffer a submarine attack if he has any crippled ships on the map. Yeah, that's when we had the crippled ship in the example. So it's either if it was illuminated or if we had crippled ships. So yeah, so none of that going to happen. And then advanced game turn marker. So now we move on to the 650 turn, and we move this segment away back up, and again place new Japanese forces, and we'll do it proper this time and place them before we start trying to draw them out of the cup. Okay, and that'll be starting back on the next turn at the first action phase, and then we will be able to do this search segment again in that turn as well. So maybe something might happen. If not, I think looking at the forces, you would think surely something's going to be within range 8 to actually have a roll. There's probably quite a lot. Well, maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, force B is F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, B and F are. So 7, 8. He's just short. E will be short. A will be short. So there's 2 there. But remember, we're going to bring another 4 on as well. So okay, it's going well. Yeah, I'm enjoying what's happening up to now. Maybe not an awful lot, but it's easing me into things. Because I did get a bit flustered at the end of that example of play, but I think that's because they were just trying to cram so much into the example, and it became a little bit much in that last part of it. So right, I'm going to get off and try and watch the first part of this back so that I can release it out there, see if I can catch any glaring errors. And then, yeah, I'm maybe just as well just releasing it and letting somebody that knows what to look for have a look at it and tell me where I went wrong. Okay, I'll be back later because, yeah, I've still got, hopefully get another, well, I'll certainly get another part recorded today, and maybe even a couple, because I do have a lot of time free at the moment. So, good. Right, I'll be back later. Cheers.